there, but it was flat against the wall. But they served both sides. But most of the serving went on in the other room, because this room was always pretty crowded. I mean, I think sometimes we had 160, 180 people in here. Those were the days before fire limits and health and safety. I was here every Tuesday for about 3 years, and it was a very important night for us, of course, because we started the club originally to cater for a band called Bakerloo, which featured a guitarist called Dave Clemson, who later went on to Humble Pie, which I think was one of the first of the supergroups. We opened it up really just to give them a gig, but after the first few weeks, other people kept asking, could they play? And then I was offered Arthur Big Boy Crudup, who's the American blues guitar man that wrote That's All Right Now Mama, which was Elvis Presley's first big hit. And then we settled into booking local bands. We had bands like Trapeze, Magnum, Bakerloo still came back, we had Teen Symphony. One night we had American Blues Night with J.B. Hutto, Lightning Slim, and Eddie Guitar Burns, all on the same bill. It's a sort of show that really should have been playing a 500 capacity theatre, but it was here in this dodgy little room. So, yes, some good memories from here. Some great music's being played here. Great music. People like Robert Plant used to come along just to sit in and jam with whoever was playing. But I think the Sabbath days were the turning point, because John Peel is the most legendary of British radio presenters. He sort of adopted us. He used to go on air on BBC Radio 1 and talk about him wearing his Henry's Blueshouse t-shirt and tell people who was playing here. So every time we opened the door, we had 100 people outside ready to come in. It was great. But having that security of knowing people would come and pay their entrance fee allowed me to book bands that maybe I would not have taken the risk on. If you assure them you're going to have the people there and the money coming in, you can book better bands, and we did. Quite a lot of interest in it now. We're trying to persuade the City Council to support a project to reopen it, actually as a rock and roll museum, but a living museum. So live music upstairs, and downstairs would be the archives, electronically of course, online, so all the history of Birmingham rock and roll would be available at people's fingertips downstairs, opening 8 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, closing at 2 o'clock in the morning after it's become a rock and roll nightclub. And I think it would be a real tourist destination, especially now that the other side of the street is going to be the Spanish Steps, which will disgorge many of the commuters coming into Birmingham, because we're right by the railway station. We're 40 paces from the railway station, so rock and roll tourists will find their way here with no trouble at all. Birmingham, you have to talk about Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath were the first. They were a blues band at a time when there were many, many blues bands around the city. Well, no, around the country. The blues boom was everywhere. And because everyone was getting on that blues bandwagon, the quality was slipping. And Sabbath did not want to be yet another failing blues band. So they really worked on getting the new sound together. And it was a new sound. It's hard to work out what came before it. Obviously the blues influenced it. Obviously there's a rock influence, but you have to remember what rock was being played at that time, and it was nothing like what Sabbath did. Sabbath came up with something absolutely unique to them.
Thank you, good evening from Black Sabbath, thank you.